All right, it is time. The Busch Light Clash and the fantasy NASCAR and betting NASCAR season is here. We got your best bets for the Busch Light Clash at the Los Angeles Coliseum. We have DFS tiers coming your way and our fantasy NASCAR season primer all here tonight on the Backroad. Let's jump into it.
Two for the stage.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here for another season of the Backroad. It's year 3 for us here in Between Media. Year number 2 is a live show. We are excited for the 2023 NASCAR season, as Seth said. We're back with the original crew here, Elliot Hicks with Seth Woolcock and Rod Villagomez. Guys, this is going to be a fun one, and we're going to start out with a really fun announcement. We are going weekly this season. Last year, we did it every other week. This year, every week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Set it on your calendar. Get her done. Tune in every week because we are going to be here weekly for you to cover the 2023 NASCAR season. So that's going to be pretty fun, Seth, isn't it?
I am so excited for this. This is a decision we've kind of been mulling over for a couple years now. And this year we were just like, let's rip the Band-Aid off because I can't get enough NASCAR right now. We had a very profitable season last year. We want to continue to help the IBT family weekly here in the NASCAR industry. So we're going to continue to do that. And Rod, I'm excited that you're going to be riding shotgun with us here every other week. And the weeks you aren't on, we're going to have some great guests along the way as well.
It is going to be fantastic. Yeah, like you guys said, it was so much fun last season getting to be a part of this on a weekly, even if it's a bi-weekly basis. And the fact that it's expanding to a weekly show just shows how powerful NASCAR has become, especially in the betting and fantasy communities. And I mean, this is just a testament to how much everybody loves this sport, how much you guys love this sport, and you know how great this show has been for the community at large.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be one of the original trailblazers out here in the fantasy NASCAR realm and the betting realm as well. Rod and Elliot, you guys are big parts of that. So I can't thank you guys enough for being here with us as well as with the IBT family.
Well, hey, before we get started, we got a couple of plugs we want to make. Rod, we talked a little bit about your sports gambling podcast. You were saying you're heading to record that right after. When and where can people find that this year?
There's some big things happening with the NASCAR gambling podcast this season. There will be so many fun additions that we're doing. We're going to be on video here pretty soon.
Let's go.
Breaking the news a little early here, but yeah, we're going to be going 5 days a week now as far as content is concerned. So every day there'll be a NASCAR gambling podcast episode out. Yeah, just a lot of great stuff happening down the pipe. So keep it locked at you can find it anywhere where you get your favorite podcasts, and soon you'll be able to see our shining smiley faces on YouTube as well. So, yeah, can't wait for that to get going. Yeah, like you said, Elliot, we'll be taping an episode right after I'm done here. So one NASCAR conversation to another, I just can't stop talking about it.
Here we go, baby.
We love the commitment from Rod for sure. And Seth, so I've got the Busch hat on because it's a Busch Light Clash. Tell us about your hat over there, Betting Pros.
Yeah, so I've been working behind the scenes at Fantasy Pros, Betting Pros for the last year or so and love the staff over there and love to kind of work behind the scenes. And I kind of approached them this year. They approached me about starting a NASCAR betting initiative over there. They've seen the success we've had over here at the Backroad throughout the other stuff we're doing here in the industry. And I'm excited to lead that initiative over there at BP. Some really great sports gamblers and sports gamblers fishing and auto. So you guys can check out my article. It's going to be out on Fridays. It's really going to be my best bet. So you're going to hear a lot of the same stuff from this show, in addition to some new information over there, because like Rod said, we can't get enough, baby. I think we're full-blown D-gens at this point, guys.
Yeah, I don't think there's any coming back for us now.
Yes, absolutely. And just in general here at IBT, guys, we are full send right now. We have our fantasy golf stuff over with Bo and Connor Tuesday nights, the In Between Fantasy Football podcast that I'm a part of on Tuesday nights, and then here on Thursday nights, and a lot of videos dropping in between. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It really helps us go a long way. And Elliot, how are we starting this off tonight, man? Where do we want to go from here?
Well, I think we're going to recap the offseason, too. I also wanted to mention my column Through the Field will be back. It'll be a little less frequent because we're going to be on here every week. A lot of the stuff I throw in the column, it'll be more fun to put it on here, quite frankly. So you can check that out as well. We'll have one probably before the Daytona 500. But in any case, we're going to start off the same way we normally start off. Let's take a look in the rear view, recap the offseason, and get ourselves primed and ready to go.
Silly season, baby.
Well, as I'm sure you know from being a NASCAR fan and watching the show, Joey Logano, who won the Clash, won the Cup Championship last year. And there were a lot of changes and a lot of dominoes that fell. Some of them you knew about before the season was over. Some of them we're just finding out now. We'll take a run through what has happened in the offseason. So the team that was known as Petty GMS, Richard Petty Motorsports, whatever, is now called Legacy Motor Club. Jimmy Johnson,
Love it.
Mistake in there. He'll run a few races in the number 84, including the Daytona 500. So if you're listening for us talking about Petty GMS, you're going to listen for Legacy Motor Club now. They have a new driver also, Noah Gragson, coming from the number 9 JR Motorsports Xfinity team to their number 42 car. Ty Dillon out of that car now. Do we want to give comments on move by move here? Do we want me to just run through the list and give comments? What are we thinking?
We got to talk about this before we move forward because this was a stunner. And I don't know if you guys are excited as I am for this, but Petty GMS the last couple of years, like, yeah, we've hit on Eric Jones at times, and he's been fun. And I rode the Ty Dillon experience early last season to some DFS victories. But realistically, like, it's been a down organization. Jimmy Johnson and his fam, they kind of get their hands on it a little bit here. Noah Gragson is a wildly fun driver. I think he's going to be fun right out of the gun here. I think this organization, I think they're really going to take a jump. I'm excited. Keep an eye out for team win totals out there. I don't have a line right now on Legacy, but Rod, I think honestly this team could maybe compete for 3 wins between the two of them and factor in Jimmy as well.
Well, I'm not that much enthusiastic about the win.
Okay.
I will say that I am enthusiastic about the fact that Jimmy Johnson is returning into that car. If you could see, I don't have my camera set up in a position where you could see my gear, but I've got all the Jimmy Johnson gear from that 48 car. I've been a fan since 2003. The fact that he's coming back into the sport makes me giddy beyond all measure. I just love the fact that he's going to be in that 84 car. You look at the font. It already looks a little like the 48.
Yes, it does.
A little bit. Yeah, it's just flipped around. So, look, I'm all in on Jimmy Johnson. I want to see him run a full season. Obviously, he's not, but I'd love to see him win the Daytona 500 and then come out and say, you know what? I could do this and run the whole season. That probably won't happen. But I will say that Noah Gragson in that 42 car is going to be fun to watch as well. You said he's a wildly fun driver to watch. He is. And if he can keep his lunch down between races, then, it makes it all the better. I don't know that Gragson's going to compete for very many wins. We could see some top 10s out of him, certainly some top 15s, but if he wins one, it may be in a super speedway or maybe even a road course where he kind of can compete with the field. But this Legacy Motorsports team still has a long way to go before they can hang with the Roush's or the Gibbs or the Hendricks of the world. So I know they're good. I mean, I know the cars are good, but I don't see them winning 3 races.
Okay. Maybe I'm a little bullish just because what we've seen over the last couple of years with some of these newer teams, how we almost saw Spire pulling out last season. And of course, Trackhouse's emergence over the last 2 seasons. So Elliot, where do you fall on this debate here? Obviously, I think I'm a little giddy for Legacy Motors Club here. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think that's our first hot take of the season is 3 wins for Legacy.
I'm ready. I'm jumping on.
They have the talent to do it for sure. Gragson was a great driver in the Xfinity Series. Probably should have had a title. Eric Jones, he got the raw deal at JGR, was able to get the Southern 500 win again last year. I think 3 wins is a little high. I think 1 win apiece, though, maybe. I could see that realistically, but the field is just so good nowadays. I can see it just as easily as I can't see it, but they'll be competitive. They're really setting that team up very well for the future to stick with these guys for quite a while. So I like that. And Ty Dillon is sticking around in Cup 2, moving over to the Spire 77 car. We know how Spire is. Corey LaJoie once or twice a year maybe can get a win, but other than that, not much to write home about. But what is a lot to write home about, arguably the biggest move of the offseason, I think it has to be, is Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing, the number 18 car, moving to Richard Childress Racing's number 8. What do you guys think about KFB for this year? I know we'll get into him a little bit later, but this move, we knew about it before last season was done, but still just going to be shocking to see him out there not in the number 18 car.
Well, fun fact, and we covered this on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast a couple of days ago, maybe it was in yesterday. The 18 car has been in use in NASCAR since its inception in the 1940s. Wow. It has never not been on the track in that entire span. So we are now living in an age where the 18 will not be on the track. We have never seen it before, and I'm telling you, we may never see it again. But yeah, it's just going to be weird to not have the 18 car. It's weird not to see the Skittles or M&Ms or whatever Mars product is being offered on that car.
Yeah.
It'll be even more weird to see Kyle Busch climbing out of the 8 car. I mean, you take a 1 off of his number and he's in it, but still it'll be very strange to see him in this new digs. This is where, and I said it before too, this is where we're going to see whether or not Kyle Busch is the driver everybody expects him to be and everybody thinks he is, because Gibbs gave a lot of cushion for him to be the driver that he is. Mm-hmm. You know, now he steps back, and I don't want to say substandard equipment, but definitely not Gibbs equipment, right? Richard Childress still has good cars, but they're not Gibbs equipment. So we'll see if this is the driver or the team that has made Kyle Busch into the superstar that he is now. So we'll definitely see that play out.
And I think it's a very polarizing debate right now in the NASCAR betting and the NASCAR DFS industry. There's people like myself who I think he's going to come out of the gate ready to go. I think he's more motivated than ever, not just to follow storylines, but Kyle Busch, like, he had some bad luck last season too. He did not finish more than any other Gibbs car, and a lot of those were mechanical issues rather than wrecks as well. So I'm going to bet on Kyle Busch, the talent, but I definitely see both sides of this coin. The equipment does get worse. You can't debate anything about that, Elliot.
Yeah, I'm going to save my Kyle Busch takes for a little later, so stay tuned for that. The two big dominoes also from this move is that Ty Gibbs moves up from Xfinity to take over the newly renumbered 54 car, keeping his number from the Xfinity series. They're going to replace the 18 with the 54. And Tyler Reddick moving from that 8 car to 2311's number 45, replacing Kurt Busch. Again, moves that we basically already knew were going to happen, but still going to be exciting to see how they fare on track. I think Tyler Reddick is going to be just a beast in that 2311 car. I think Ty Gibbs will have some growing pains like he did last year, subbing for Kurt Busch. I think it's going to be a fairly good rookie season. I think he'll beat Gragson for Rookie of the Year. Maybe he'll win a race. Oh, shit, he'll probably win the Daytona 500 with how quickly he won in Xfinity. I think he won his first start, but we'll have to see how that goes. What do you guys think about these two new Toyota drivers?
Is that an upgrade? Is that an upgrade for Tyler Reddick 100%? Like, do we all agree that that is an upgrade, him going over to 23XI?
I would say so, for sure.
Okay. I'd say a slight, yeah. A little bit of an upgrade, yeah. Because it's Toyota, and it's a Gibbs satellite pretty much, so yeah.
That's how I kind of feel like it too. Like, I definitely think Tyler Reddick's probably going to be good for two wins on his own this season. I'm very curious to see what Bubba Wallace does in comparison to him now that they have like a really good young developmental driver over there. But I like both these moves. Ty Gibbs, like, I honestly, from a personal standpoint, I didn't really like him last season, but after what kind of happened with his dad at the end of the season there, like, it's hard not to kind of at least start to root for this guy a little bit. So, I mean, we know he's talented. He's not, I mean, he is a silver spoon kid, but he is also talented at the same time. We saw how quickly he acclimated to the Xfinity series. So I expect the same thing here, probably in NASCAR as well.
Look, going to the big leagues is a humbling experience. This is not the same kids that he can push around on the Xfinity track or anything like that. These are grown men on this track. And if he tries to come out with the same attitude that he did in the Xfinity series, he's about to learn a hard lesson that this is not going to fly in this series. He's going to have to drive hard. He's going to have to keep his head down. He's going to have to shut up. You can't compare himself to Jesus Christ anymore. He's going to have to literally drive well. This is going to be a tough year for him. I don't know that he's even going to win a race, let alone 2, and in fact, his over-under is a race and a half, and I'm taking the under.
100%.
Sure.
Yep. I'm with you on that one.
I don't think that's going to happen for Ty Gibbs. Will he learn? Will he be a good driver in years to come and probably for the rest of his career? There's no question. There's no doubt about it. The kid's too talented to not do it. But this is going to have to be a humble year for him. And he saw it last season. He didn't have the instant success in that 45 car. And then of course in the 23 after that, but it was just a matter of, he didn't have the instant success, and I don't see it happening again this season for him. As for, what do we talk about? Reddick, right? Going into that 2311 car, heads up. This guy's going to be a competitor all season long. I see him winning at least 3 or 4 races this season, and I think he's going to be a major factor in the playoffs.
Love it.
That's pretty bold. That might be hot take territory too. I think 3 or 4 is maybe a couple too many. I think 2 is probably the right number. He won a couple road courses last year. I think 2311 is an upgrade. I don't think they're quite to the top tier yet. So I think his equipment may let him down in a race or two, where a Gibbs car or a Hendrick car is just going to be better than them late. But I think Reddick is going to be good for at least 2 wins this year. And a couple more minor moves to round us out here. Ryan Preece replacing Cole Custer in the Stewart-Haas number 41.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah. I appreciate this. Finally, we can root for the 41 again. Jesus.
So Preece in the 41, AJ Allmendinger back full-time in the Cup Series in the Colleague number 16.
Like it, yeah.
He is if there's one driver out of the entire field that I'm picking as a lock for the playoffs, it's AJ Allmendinger, because there's a million road courses on the schedule. He is dominant on the road courses. He is 100% winning a road course. And Kevin Harvick going to announce his retirement after the year was the only thing that I wanted to throw in for that. But then we can talk about these 3 moves.
Rod, have you seen, is there a line on AJ for the season on a win total?
There is a line on the win total. Give me a second and I'll pull that up for you. But I will say that I'm super excited about watching Allmendinger. I did pick him as my favorite driver last season because of Jimmy Johnson not being there. But, now that Jimmy's back forever, whatever, I'm a little sad. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of he's going to win a road course race, just like you said. I can't find it at the moment, but we'll get there. So
okay. I would be curious what it is, because I think with Elliott too, like, he's definitely going to win one of these road courses. And he's one that, like, we're going to talk about it a lot tonight, but AJ is someone that, as a sport is transitioning in NASCAR and moving forward, it's moving forward with a guy like AJ who has a lot of different skill sets in this sport. So I'm very intrigued for drafting him in some redraft leagues. Very intrigued. I'm going to be playing him in DFS like crazy, I'm sure, early in the season too. So yeah, I really like that's probably my favorite, like, low key move of the season for sure.
All right. No, there's no offering on Allmendinger's over under. He's like one of the drivers that the books can't really handicap. So yeah, but I'll give you one. I'll give you 1.5. If it's 1.5, take the over. I think he sneaks in 2 road races this year.
I agree.
He's been so close the last couple of seasons. He's just kind of like almost had some bad luck at times as well. Gotten turned around, or some mechanical failures late in races. So yeah, I'm excited with that. I feel like that's the one thing we are going to agree on tonight's show, that we're all back in AJ this season. How about it, E?
Yeah, and that's good too for Colleague. They had just a rotating house of drivers in there to go with Justin Haley. I think Allmendinger being there full time is going to make Colleague a better program. So maybe Justin Haley will be on the up and up too. You never know.
Agreed.
But all right, we've taken a look in the rear view. Let's start to take a look into 2023 for the Busch Light Clash with our season draft or pass.
5.5 now, quarter, half, 5, 75, sold your way, 65.
That's pretty cool.
21, Andy Rock, 21, Rockstar.
All right, so draft or pass. We each picked a driver that we're going to draft this year and that we're going to pass on this year. What do we think? Draft and pass for each of us, or all drafts, all pats? What do we think?
Mine's a conjoined one, so you guys go ahead. Rod, you kick it off. You go ahead, give us your draft, and then we'll kind of work our way through. I'll do a little snake, a 2-on-1 section.
All right. Well, I'm hoping to not be the first pick in the draft, because I don't want to necessarily take Ross Chastain as the 101, but I will take Ross Chastain if I'm in that 3rd or 4th position. I definitely want to draft Ross Chastain. I just don't know if I want to spend a whole lot on Ross Chastain. Not that he's not worth it. Look, the guy had the most top 10 finishes last season in the series, the most top 5 finishes in this series. The dude had a move that was banned by NASCAR. He's that good.
Bad decision, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see why, but at the same time, he definitely was one of the more head turners of the sport last season. And I just Do I think he's going to go out and replicate all of these numbers again this season? Probably not. In fact, he probably won't even get close. But I will say that if there's a driver that could do it, it's Ross Chastain. And I don't want to miss out if he does. I don't want to miss out if he picks up another couple of wins over his 2 last season. I don't want to miss out on that. Like, I'd rather my entire roster sink because I had Ross Chastain rather than miss out on the upside of Ross Chastain.
Yeah, I got to ride that wave in redraft last season. I'm pretty sure I probably picked him up in our first fantasy draft of the season, maybe like round 3, round 4. And I mean, that was just a fun ride. So I agree with you, Rod. I'm fully in on this. I don't need to talk anymore about Ross Chastain. I know it's a new season, but we talked about him at exhaust last year, Elliot.
Yeah, I don't think he's worth the one-on-one, but my guy's not worth the one-on-one either. I got Kyle Busch as my draft. I do think that the RCR equipment is good enough because we saw what Tyler Reddick can do. Putting a good driver in those cars, Reddick got, I believe it was 3 wins last year, right? So Tyler Reddick, no disrespect to Austin Dillon. We know he's not a top-tier driver. Kyle Busch is a top-tier driver. Tyler Reddick is a top-tier driver. We saw what Reddick did in those cars last year. We know how talented Kyle Busch is. We feel like he was probably getting the short end of the stick at JGR toward the end. A whole bunch of DNFs, a whole bunch of mechanical problems. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. Either way, Kyle Busch with a fresh start in the 8 car. I'm liking it. I'm thinking at least 2 wins for him also. I know I've said 2 wins for about 3 different guys. Eventually, I'm running out of races for these guys to win when you add in all the locks. But I do like Kyle Busch a lot in this 8 car. He's a guy I would pick up.
Well, in draft or pass, like really this is about redraft, dynasty, those types of traditional fantasy NASCAR leagues, whether you're playing on fan tracks or any of these other platforms. How we played on Excel, we had someone running.
We played in the Discord chat years past.
Yeah.
We're really moving up in the world here, Seth.
However you're playing, like Kyle Busch is going to be a value. He's going to get faded by a lot of these mainstream people, and I'm willing to jump on it as well, Elliot. Like, I'm definitely not taking him anywhere probably near the top 8 drivers, but he's probably going to fall somewhere in that, 12 to 15 range, and I'll gladly draft him at that price. So I like this call again. This is how I know I'm on with 2 guys I like. Two drivers I'm very high on this season already getting called out here.
All right, Seth, I think you're up for your draft and pass.
All right, so for my draft or pass, I want to play a game, okay? It's called Austin Cindric or William Byron, all right? So, Rod, more top 5s, William Byron or Austin Cindric last season?
I'm going to go ahead and say it was Austin Cindric.
It's actually tied, both 5, okay?
I was going to say Byron, so that makes sense.
Better average start position, William Byron or Austin Cindric?
I'm going to have to go with Byron on that one.
Yeah, I got to go Byron too.
All right. It is Byron, but it's 12.5 to 12.6. So nearly identical when you really think about it. Running at finish. So they're completing races. Who did that more, Elliot? More RAFs?
Cindric.
Rod?
I'm going to say, I should probably say Cindric as well. Yeah, Cindric.
It is Cindric, 32, 4th best in NASCAR compared to Byron's 30. So really, like, my thought process here is like Austin Cindric is underrated. William Byron is overrated. You're pretty much getting a similar driver, and Cindric's probably going to go in those, mid to late teens in a lot of these redrafts. Byron's definitely going to be a top 6 to 10 pick, depending who you're drafting with. Schedule changes are only going to help Cindric as well. So I'm going to back him. I'm very comfortable taking him in my 2nd and 3rd round of NASCAR drafts. I'm going to be backing him early here at Daytona as well in just a couple weeks. So Austin Cindric, guys, he's the budget William Byron for me.
I like that.
Not bad. All right. So my pass is Kevin Harvick. I mentioned he's going to retire after the season. I think he might get a win like last year. Last year he was very slow, and then he did pick up a couple wins, get into the playoffs. He did all right. I think Briscoe is going to start to become the main guy at SHR. I think you might see Priest take a little bit of that spotlight. And I think that Harvick and Almirola are going to run a little bit behind. Of course, Kevin Harvick's a good driver. Wouldn't surprise me if he wins. Wouldn't surprise me if he runs consistent. My assumption is that he's just going to be overvalued, so I'm going to have to go pass.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some of the drivers after they've announced their final intentions, and the season's not necessarily the greatest. And I even harken back to Jimmy Johnson when he announced his farewell. That wasn't the best season for him either. But Harvick, I don't know. I feel like it's a little different. I think he already knew last season that this season was going to be it, because he did make a statement on Dale Jr.'s show that he wanted to at least run one season in the new car. So when he does make the switch over to be an announcer, he's one of the few drivers that does that, that's going to have knowledge of this car. So I was like, I knew that season was going to happen. And when he didn't say anything throughout the course of the last season, I thought, okay, well, he's going to run one more and then call it quits. So I can back you on that one. But I still think he's going to come out and do some pretty good things. It's just a matter of what.
Yeah, not so fast on this one, Elliot. This is where I'm going to disagree with you. I think Kevin Harvick, I don't think it's going to be a Cinderella season, but for him to come out and win 2 races after what was really kind of a terrible 2021 season for him, I was impressed. He really showed that he can adapt to this car better than someone like a veteran like Truex. So I'm excited for Kevin Harvick. I think even I'm going to have a bet later talking about the Clash featuring Kevin Harvick. So I'm going against you here, but I definitely, I appreciate your approach with it here. And I think Rod's going to round us out for our redraft segment before we head into tiers.
Yeah, I'm passing on Ty Gibbs. Any part of Ty Gibbs this season. Again, it's not that I don't think he's going to have good finishes. And if this was a draft kind of like what we did last season, where you could kind of go back and draft again after a few races, then maybe I would go ahead and take Ty Gibbs after he starts to heat up. But if this is just a draft and keep, I'm not really wasting a spot on Ty Gibbs right now early on. We talked about it earlier as far as what our expectations are for Gibbs. And in a redraft format, I'm definitely not going to try even to take a roster spot and hope that he cashes in, because it may take half the season. It may take 3/4 of the season for him to get comfortable in this car. And by that point, I may not even be in the league anymore if I wait on Ty Gibbs to get better.
This is one of those things that fantasy NASCAR is a lot sometimes like fantasy football, and we do get rookie fever a little bit. And I'm as guilty as everyone. I already called my shot here earlier that I love the Legacy Motor Club with Noah Gragson there. I've fallen for Chase Briscoe. Elliot, you can recall that a couple seasons ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna listen to you here, Rod. I won't be falling for it with Ty Gibbs. Noah Gragson, you're gonna have to talk me out of that one a little bit more, because I'm hot on that one. So I'm sure we'll talk about that here a little bit more as well.
For sure. We're going to talk about a lot of different drivers in our next segment, which is the tire tiers. All right, so we've got our nice little tier maker up here. We are going to rank the top 30 drivers. We're going to put 6 drivers in each of these 5 tiers. We got driver, or Seth, if you want to explain it, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so we're taking the pricing over from DraftKings, and we have different tiers here. We have the GOAT. So these are the guys you're going to be paying up for. We have the Wheelmen, who, again, they're still kind of in that high 8 to 9 range. That's another guys you're going to be paying up for. Driver 3s, those are your leverage plays. Driver 4s, those are your budget plays. And driver 5s, those are like your shit box with potential. That's really what it comes down to here. But excited to start it out. We're kind of just going to go around the room here. So, Rod, why don't you start us out, man? If you're drafting a DFS team, obviously qualifying is going to come into matter a lot with those differential points. Who are you going with here at the 101 if you're making a DFS team here for the Busch Light Clash on Sunday?
For the Busch Light Clash, I'm going to start with Tyler Reddick as the guy that I'm sorry. He's at $8,100 over there on DraftKings. And I'll tell you right now, Tyler Reddick obviously had a fantastic run last year at this Clash. Yes, I know he is not in the same car as he was last season, but I think that maybe even plays into his hand a little more. I like the salary relief that you get for Tyler Reddick, given how good he was last season. And I have a feeling that his switching teams has a lot to do with why he's down in the 8,000s. But when you compare him to like a Joey Logano, who won this thing at 10,000, you probably get a little more bang for your buck with Tyler Reddick as far as maybe even laps led. And then maybe he does have a bad qualifying effort and he starts in the rear. Now he's a good enough car to get you to the front. So I like all the scenarios in which Tyler Reddick can give you a good start to your DFS lineup.
Yeah, and Tyler Reddick's actually coming in at a value 8,100 there, Rod. So you're saving a buck. He's someone I want to be building lineups around this week as well. Elliot, where are you going with the 102 here?
See, I like the value pick. I think Reddick does give you value. Sometimes you got to throw value out the window because you're probably getting a good finish here. I got to go with Logano. He won this race last year. He was the Cup champion. I know this is probably more Clash centric, but I will go a little bit season preview here too. I don't see how Logano is not a top tier driver right now.
Yeah, and he didn't dominate this race last season. Tyler Reddick actually led more laps than Joey Logano at the Clash, but Joey Logano is a really good closer. I think is underrated here. So I'm surprised he's not under 101, but that's super cool. I like that pick there, Elliot. No complaints from me. I'm going to probably have to go with Kyle Busch here, guys, honestly. I know that's a little bit chalky, and people might be seeing that as a little bit of a reach here. Sorry, I'm looking for the number 8. There he is. But I honestly think Kyle Busch, guys, he led, look at who led the most laps in this race last season. It was Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch. And who was number 2? Tyler Reddick in that number 8 car. So I think there's something here with Kyle Busch's aggression. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him later, but I'm going to go Kyle Busch here. Rod, the board is yours. Keep in mind, too, we can jump around to different tiers if you want to throw out a leverage play or a budget play, a shit box, whatever you want. Or we can just keep going straight over through the GOAT tier here.
I mean, I'll stick with the fact that the 45 is a GOAT tier because he is one of the more talented drivers. And, of course, if this is Busch class centric, he's in it. And then I will say for Logano, this isn't the first year of anything. So he may not be quite as I guess, fortuitous as he would if this was the first year of the Clash or the first year of the new car. He just likes to win first year stuff. All right, for my next guy, I'm going to go back to Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson, Look, here's the thing about him, right? Last season was a disappointing season for him coming off of the season that he had before, the championship season he had before. I don't know that you can keep Kyle Larson down for a second season in a row. I think we are in for just a full bore effort out of that 5 car to prove that he is still the driver that he was a couple of seasons ago and that he hasn't fallen off. And lest we forget, it's only been a season since he was dominant. So I just think we're going to see big things out of Kyle Larson out of that 5 team this year. And I think it starts with the Busch Clash. Okay.
Kyle Larson there off the board. Elliot, continue with our GOAT tier, the top of the DFS board. Who are you taking? Kyle Larson just goes, he's 9,500 over on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, that's maybe a bit of a steep price, but again, you can pay a little bit if you know you're going to get a good run. And I think we're going to get a good run from Larson. All right, if we're sticking with the GOAT tier here, so this is kind of funny because I was kind of low on this guy. I almost put this guy as my pass for the season, and then I talked myself out of it. It's Ryan Blaney. Blaney did not win a regular season race last year, but he ran arguably more consistently than most of the field. He just didn't have the luck at the end. The only time he had the luck was in the All-Star race, and even then he almost lost it because he took his window net down because we all thought the race was over. I think Blaney, he's a kind of a steep price too, 9,300, but I've got faith in him. I didn't have faith in him preparing for the show, and then I was like, you know what? Ryan Blaney's a wheel man. He's not going to not win a regular season race this year. Blaney is going to be a good pickup this season and for the Clash on Saturday. We saw a Penske car win last year. I think we're going to see a Penske car win this year.
That's a good point. The only thing that kind of deters me away from Blaney is he was pretty bad in the main Clash last season for whatever reason on that. So I'd be a little hesitant to pick him up right now for the 9,300, but understand that you're trying to cross teammates there, Elliot. I'm going to round us out here in the GOAT tier, and I'm going to go with Christopher Bell, guys. Christopher Bell, 8th here last season, and that was before Bell did too much of anything, really, in his career. So I'm excited to see what Christopher Bell can do here. He's a short track guy. He likes to win these races that matter, and I think setting a tone for 2023 matters for Christopher Bell. I like him here at the Busch Light Clash to get another top 5 finish for you. I think he's someone who will probably start back in the pack a little bit, move up, get those differential points for your DFS lineup. So I'm going to go Chris Bell to round us out.
Not a bad pick. All right, so there's our tier 1 for the Clash. We got Reddick, Logano, KFB, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and Christopher Bell. All right, should we keep going linear? Should we jump around a little bit? What are you guys feeling?
Rod, your call here, man. We got Didi in the chat saying hello, my handsomes. Good to see you, Didi. Appreciate you tuning in as always from out there in California, where Rod's holding it down as well. Rod, take it away, man. Board's yours if you want to keep going through the drivers' twos, the wheelmen, or we can jump around.
Yeah, let's keep going with the driver twos, because I cannot believe that Chase Elliott is not up there in the tier 1. Like I'm sure Chase Elliott can't realize or can't believe that he's not up there in the tier 1. So we got to definitely put him at the top of this tier 2. Obviously, you can make every argument in the world that he belongs up there in the tier 1. In fact, he probably would make that argument as well. Probably take out Tyler Reddick and put Elliott somewhere in there. But if we're talking Busch Clash, I like Reddick. If we're talking season long, I still like Reddick. But I also think that Elliott probably deserves a spot over Christopher Bell and over Blaney, if I'm being completely honest with you. Those two drivers for sure. I mean, look, he had all those wins last season, right? He was one of the more dominant drivers. It's just he didn't finish it off in that last race, and that's really what separated him from being a Joey Logano and winning the whole thing. That mistake at the end just wrecked him, killed him. So yeah, I mean, we'd be talking a completely different story if Elliott actually won the championship last season as the most dominant driver. So yeah, he definitely belongs up in tier 1, but if he's not, then at least at the first part of the tier 2.
Yeah, and I get the call, and it was honestly I was going back and forth between the two. 10,000 is Chase Elliott's price on DraftKings right now for the week, Rod. So that's like I wanted to save $300. Go Christopher Bell, still top 3 ranked though here. So I like that call. Elliott, who do you have?
Yeah, for Chase Elliott, I like that the tier 2, he would be in tier 1, but the high price and the fact that the Hendrick didn't really run that well in the Clash last year kind of hurts him for me. So I'm fine with him being in tier 2 if we're looking mostly at the Clash. For my driver 2, I got to bring in Denny Hamlin. You know, he's been Mr. Consistency. I've tried to talk him down. You know, there's a bit of a personal thing there with the Bowman thing. Still maybe not over that, but you can't deny Denny Hamlin is still near the top of his game. He's still out there winning races. I think he's going to have a good run at the Clash, and he's a good guy to pick up for the season. The price looks like $8,600. He's below Chastain, below Kyle Busch, below Blaney. He could be a good value play.
Yeah, I like Hamlin too. He was going to be my pick if you didn't take him. I'm going to go Ross Chastain. He's another one who I think just fell a little bit. Guys, Ross Chastain, like this is almost a race that he can get a little ballsy. He can get a little risky. Like obviously there's the car concern. You don't want to ding too many cars up before the 500 here, but I think this is a package that Ross is going to run pretty well. Didn't do super well at the Clash last year. It's the one thing going against him. But I think kind of being secured in that final run here is going to mean something to him. So I'm excited for Ross Chastain here. I'm gonna pick him in our mid driver 2 tier here. Rod, back to you to keep this tier going.
Definitely don't have to sell me on Ross Chastain. I will go ahead and take, I'll take Kevin Harvick in this.
I love that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He didn't do well, in the Clash last year, but of course, you know, that was his beginning and we know how the beginning of his season started, but he's $7,800 right now. That is absolutely crazy. Now, obviously we have to know that they make the final race for this to count. If we're talking about the Clash, and of course in season long, he definitely belongs in tier 2, in my opinion. Guy's a top 10 machine just about everywhere in the entire country. So I think that continues this season in his last season. And, you know, I do think he picks up a couple of emotional wins, whether it's 3 or 2. I still think he picks those up. So I think that's still a good return on value season long for him.
Okay. Elliott, who are you going here with in tier 2?
All right, so we really haven't touched on this guy at all yet tonight, but I think here's this may be a hot take. I think he's going to be the best driver at Joe Gibbs Racing this year, and that's Martin Truex Jr.
Oh.
The 19 car. He kind of fell off the map a little bit last year, couldn't quite get it going. When he was good, he'd always have something happen, couldn't end up getting a win. I think that he is going to be motivated. He is going to be ready to roll, and I think Gibbs is going to be good at the Clash, and I think Gibbs is going to be good in general, and I think Truex comes back on fire with multiple wins this season, firmly belongs in tier 2.
I think my co-host there at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast would definitely disagree with you. He thinks Truex is already retired and just driving around on the track. So, I mean, hopefully we see some splashes out of him, but boy, he has been largely unimpressive the last few races.
I'm with Cody. I'll talk more about Truex later, but I'm with Cody on that one. I'm going to round us out with what might be kind of a controversial pick to put up here in the wheelman category. But I'm going to go with Eric Jones right now. Eric Jones coming in at 6,300 for the man who placed fourth in this event last season. Obviously, he's going to have to get himself there, but I think it could be a very good year for Eric Jones. Started here at the Clash. I think he's going to be aggressive. I like the change to legacy as well. So Eric Jones, 6,300, unless he qualifies super high for the main event, he's going to be in every single one of my lineups. So Eric Jones, I had to put him up here, guys. I apologize.
Don't apologize for Eric Jones.
No apologies necessary.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys didn't shame me because I feel like I'm going to be getting some looks from the boys back home for that one. We got Dee Dee. She's saying nice. She enjoys Eric Jones. We like to see that, Dee Dee. All right. Rod, start us out here. We're looking for leverage plays here, guys. You can maybe spend down a little bit on and reap some benefit here in DFS this week.
It's not an exciting play, but I don't know why Daniel Suarez just makes me say okay or ole, even if that is appropriate. I think I can say it, right? Because I think, yeah. But yeah, for Daniel Suarez, you look at his price, and he is at, just had it here in a second, $6,500. And for a quiet of a season that Daniel Suarez had, other than winning, of course, at Sonoma, he had 13 top 10s, which is not bad. That puts him somewhere in the top 11 or 12, maybe even 15 of drivers. So look, to me, I think he's still got talent enough to be able to run with the top drivers. This Clash is sort of a level playing field anyways for a lot of drivers, because you never know if they're going to come out and want to take this 100% seriously, or if they're just looking to, sort of log laps and get a feel for their car. So depending on how this 99 team is going to take this race, I think he stands a good chance of finishing well and returning pretty good value on that $6,500 that he's priced at.
Okay. I like that. Elliot, who are you going here with in tier 3?
So Suarez is good value. Another guy I think is good value. I think he's better value, but he missed the main event last year. Probably the best car to miss the main event, and that's Alex Bowman. Big shocker here, picking Bowman. But I think that he's going to be a little re-energized. New crew chief pairing there with Blake Harris coming over from Michael McDowell's team. And I don't know much about this guy, Blake Harris, as a crew chief, but if you can make Michael McDowell look like a really good driver, you got to have something going for you. We know Front Row Motorsports is not the greatest over there. And, it's every year with Bowman, he's going to go on a stretch where he doesn't run better than 15th for 8 weeks. And that's just how it goes. So you really got to keep your eyes open to find out when he's going to hit that slump. Hopefully that was just a Greg Ives thing, but I'm assuming he's going to have another one of those summer slumps, whatever. For the Clash, I think he does make the main event. I think he's a good leverage play. Again, I don't have him quite so high just because last year wasn't so good for him. And the Clash is a crapshoot almost, in that you're in a little bull ring. We're going to see here's another hot take. I think we'll see one of our driver ones get taken out in the in the prelim races, have to race their way in the last chance race, or maybe get knocked out as a whole. But that's something that I feel like we haven't quite talked about yet, is that this is has just the same nuts factor almost as Daytona or Talladega would.
Which is exactly why they're priced the way they are in gambling circles. I mean, everything is priced as if it were a super speedway for the most part. So, the books feel the same way.
All right. Well, I'm going to take what I think is one of the best leverage plays on the board, and it's AJ Allmendinger at 5,800. To me, this just makes total sense. One, he had a top 10 in this event last season, not being full-time. Now he's full-time. He's ready to go. And two, AJ Allmendinger is probably going to start towards the end of, if he makes the main event, he's going to start towards the end of the pack, and he's going to make his way up. We know how AJ Allmendinger does the thing. He never qualifies super well in any of these events. So AJ Allmendinger, I'm going to build a lot of lineups around him at 5,800. That gives you a lot of flexibility at the top to, if you want to fit in, a Joey Logano, try to make room for a Chris Bell, a Chase Elliott, someone like that. You might have room if you have AJ Allmendinger in that number 16 car in there.
Love me some 16 car, love me some Allmendinger, so I like that as well. And I don't remember him competing in did he make it last season into the Busch Clash? I don't remember him actually being in it. So
I have him at 9th here on my running order, unless I'm wrong, unless this is bad information I have here over there from driver averages. So I would assume it's right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was. So maybe because I wasn't necessarily paying close attention to AJ Allmendinger at the beginning of the
That
season.
is true. Yes.
So, all right, I'm going to go. Look, a leverage play for me for this race is Justin Haley. I don't think he's even a budget play. I think he could be both a budget play or a leverage play because his price, man, is ridiculous. Justin Haley coming in at, I just had him $5,400.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, last season at this race, he was actually running very well, and actually he was potentially in line for what could have been a win until he got caught up. But yeah, I like him to do this again. We talked up about him at the beginning of last season, actually, as being a driver to watch, and then he comes out and does very well at the Clash until he didn't. But now I think he's had a full season to get acquainted. He's back on this paperclip-ish quarter of mile track, and I think he's in for another good race. And this price is perfect for you to sort of get creative elsewhere.
Okay. I like that call. Elliot, who you got here in driver 3 leverage plays?
I do like the Haley pick. This guy leaves a little less budget room, but that's why he's not in budget picks. He's in the leverage picks. Bubba Wallace. We've been talking up 23-11 all night with Tyler Reddick. Keep in mind, Bubba Wallace is still around. Bubba Wallace was one of the hottest drivers, probably the hottest non-playoff driver, getting that win at Kansas in the playoffs too. Bubba Wallace going to come out hot. He's still, I feel like he's always going to have that chip on his shoulder, and that's good for him because it's going to have him run hard 24/7.
I like that. I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe here. I believe he comes in at 7,100. So definitely kind of a nice leverage play in that upper echelon there. Listen, Chase Briscoe, he's an up and down driver. We know how it goes with him. However, he did make the main event, lost his drivetrain, but was looking really good in that last season. So I'm going to take the bet here that 7,100. I don't think it's going to be a lot of rostership percentages that you have to worry about. I don't think he's going to be super chalky. A lot of people in DFS kind of stay away from Briscoe because of his volatility. So I'm going to ride with Chase Briscoe here, guys, to round out leverage plays.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I know Briscoe is a talented driver, but it's just not a sexy name. That's all there is.
It isn't. And Rod, because of that, though, there's going to be people like you who are saying he's not a sexy name. I don't want to put him in my lineup, and I'm going to get him. And he's not going to win me the week, but I think at the price of 7,100, I think he's going to pay off for that price. So there's going to be a lot. I'm going to be in like the 4%, I think, rostership that has him in some lineups.
Okay, I'll let you have it. All right, I think it's on me, right, to go next. All right, I'm going to take the guy that finished third in this race as a budget play, and that's Austin Dillon, $5,700. Forget about Austin Dillon, right? Forget about him because he didn't necessarily run all that well last season consistently, but still a good driver. He's still capable of doing good things. And, he finished third in the Clash last year. Maybe he remembered how to do it. Maybe he'll come back again and do it one more time. And if I'm getting a guy that's finishing third in this race and I know it can do it, let's go.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah. I thought he was really underpriced at 5,700 for Austin Dillon, who has success in this race. So I like that play. Elliot, who you got?
Here's another guy who's really underpriced just below Austin Dillon is Austin Cindric. 5,600, I think, is dirt cheap for him. I mean, he's not going to be one of the top guys, but I think 5,600 in a Penske car. I mean, people forget, I think he had just mechanical issues or got into a bunch of trouble last year in the Clash. So I feel like people just look at that finishing position and they're like, oh, Austin Cindric was bad here. He's going to be bad here again. It's a crapshoot of a race. Cindric has the talent, like we've talked about. He's in top equipment. Cindric being this cheap, I mean, you can't not pick him up at this rate.
Yeah, I like Cindric at 5,600. I'll probably have him in some lineups. Also have Noah Gragson in some lineups at 5,500. This guy's great in Martinsville. 4 top 5s in his 5 starts in the Xfinity Series. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him later in our betting segment as well, but I like Noah Gragson this week. He'll be popular, I think, a little bit. You might have to eat a little bit of chalk just because people are going to be excited to finally play him in some Cup Series events here over on DraftKings. But yeah, I like Noah Gragson here, guys.
Yeah, I'm loving too. Like I said, just a passionate driver who literally leaves it all on the track when he finishes. So I love it.
All right, and Rod, you are up as well to start rounding us out here in the budget plays.
All right, I like Harrison Burton. Finished 12th in this race last season. Harrison Burton
deep cut.
Seriously, it's a deep cut. And I love it because he's $5,200. And again, as you start getting down in these lower tiers, that 21 car, just a fun car to cheer for, especially on a track like this. And again, he finished 12th, started 22nd, right, is what it says on this, and moved up to 12th. So a lot of place differential for Harrison Burton in that race last year.
I like that. That's a sneaky one, and he's not going to be rostered barely anywhere as well, Rod. So that is a nice little leverage budget for you there. Elliot.
So this guy's not really a budget pick, but he's not a shitbox either, and we don't have him on our board. So this is where we'll slot in William Byron, I guess.
Yeah.
He's at 8,400. I mean, that's a little high, I think. I don't remember how well he ran at the Clash. You guys have the results pulled up there?
Yeah, he was 6th.
Okay, so not too bad. I mean, I think that 8,400 maybe still a little high, but you never know. He's a guy you get as your D2 or something and go with some of these deep cut budget plays we've been talking about, and you might get some good value back.
Okay. I'm going to round us out here in this tier with Ryan Preece, 6,000. And if you guys remember as well, Ryan Preece actually made this main event. He didn't do much in it, but he looked good in the Clash last year. I think this is a place he likes to drive on these short tracks. So I'm going to go with Ryan Preece. Finally, guys, we can root for the 41 again. So let's rejoice. Let's have Ryan Preece in some lineups here as one of our budget play driver fours.
Love it. I guess it's on me to start good old tier 5. I don't know why. I can't even think of anybody other than, and Martin Truex is already up there, so I can't necessarily put him in that box.
Yeah.
Who do I want to say? How about Ricky Stenhouse? Let's put Ricky Stenhouse in that box. I don't foresee him doing anything spectacular. He didn't even make the final race of this one last season. Oh, he did. I'm sorry. He finished 13th in this one, but he started 9th. But I don't know. Over the course of the season, Ricky Stenhouse has been in my outhouse more than anything.
Okay. Fair enough there. Elliot, your first shit box of the night, my friend.
So we just have the negative spin in the tiers called shit boxes, but that's a little harsh on Chris Buescher. He rounded out the season with some good runs. RFK's moving up. I thought about picking him, the last couple of picks. He just didn't quite fall for me. I think shit box is harsh. Tier 5 is maybe even a little harsh for Chris Buescher because I do have faith in what RFK is doing. I think Buescher is going to be better on track than Keselowski again this year, the way the numbers set it up. So I think we're going to put him somewhere in between tier 4 and 5, I think, if we can agree on that. Not quite a shit box, maybe a decent budget play. His price here is 6,100, so maybe a little high. Preece is 6,000 for comparison there. But I think Buescher's interesting to watch for sure.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep on the RFK train. I'm going to go Brad Keselowski. I'm not going to have him in any lineups. He is kind of a shit box this week to me. But there
price
is
too high too, 7,500.
Yeah, and 7,500, the thing is with Brad Keselowski, he was so bad in this. If you guys remember, Cody Ware was outrunning him in one of those heat races. That's how bad Keselowski was. But they were almost so bad at this event that it makes you wonder, maybe he can, maybe he can actually pull it out here. So I think he's a shit box. I probably won't have him in any lineups, but he might surprise. So, let's mention him.
So duly noted. So mentioned. All right. I'm gonna take my Eric Almirola pill and throw that out there. He didn't even make the final race on this one. Is this his last season? I know that it's Kevin Harvick's, but I mean, he has not announced his retirement. He said last season, right? That that could have been his last season.
He said last year he was planning on being done. Halfway through the year, he was like, you know what? I'm going to stick around. And I'm glad Preece is in the 41 because I thought they were going to keep Custer there and Preece was going to get screwed out of a ride. I know Almirola is good bringing that Smithfield money into SHR. Please GTFO after this year and give a deserving driver the ride. Almirola, you've done what you need to do. You've won a couple of races. Take your retirement tour and get out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And start with the Busch Clash.
Yes.
Okay.
Get out of the Busch Clash in first heat race. Yeah, get out of the way.
There we go, fellas. Elliot, your final shit box of the night, my friend. Round us out here.
So this car is a shit box, but this driver is better than the shit box he's driving, and that's Corey LaJoie. This is another guy who races every week with a chip on his shoulder. It's good that he's full-time. It's good that he's with a team where he's the main guy. I don't think this car is going to come anywhere close to winning a non-super speedway race, and even the super speedway races are debatable. But LaJoie is always a fun guy to watch, and there's 2 or 3 times a year where you look at Corey LaJoie's price, you look at how he runs on the track, and you're like, is he really worth a pickup here for my last driver? And in a lot of cases, he is.
Okay. I'm going to take your Corey LaJoie. I'm going to raise it to my Michael McDowell. And Michael McDowell, he's another one who qualified for this final event last year. He's all the way down at 5,100, one of the very bottom here in DraftKings pricing, guys. So I'm going to go with Michael McDowell. He's good at short tracks. He's been good at Bristol. He's been good at Martinsville at times. So I think the Clash might be no different for Michael McDowell. I think he'll be a little chalky for me. I don't think I'll probably have him in a lot of lineups because I think people see that price tag and be like, oh, wow, Michael McDowell on a short track for that price. So that's kind of why he falls into the shitbox category for me. But, guys, I like these tiers a lot. Any final thoughts on him?
I'll follow you up on the McDowell thing. He actually lost 4 spots last season. So he started 12th, finished 16th. So, yeah, definitely not value in that driver last season.
Yes. Yep. 100%. Well, guys, I want to bring up this comment from Didi before we get into our final segment of the night, our bets. Everyone needs to like, subscribe, share, ring the bell so you can get all notifications from IBT Media. Didi, we appreciate you so much. Out there campaigning for us. We greatly appreciate that. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Really subscribing to the channel is the best way to support us. So let's go ahead. We're going to end the tiers here and let's jump into our bets for the final segment of the night.
So it is our parking garage props, and I'm excited to hear what these guys have teed up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'll be honest, Rod, I was a little I've been just jonesing to see these odds all week. I've wanted top 5s. I've wanted top 10s. I've wanted the whole, Kidder and Liddy, and we haven't got anything, man. And so there are some top 3s out there on Barstool, which I don't like betting top 3s as much as top 5, less room for error. There are some head-to-heads out there as well, but what was your overall consensus just kind of looking at the books this week, Rod? Because I was disappointed, and maybe we'll get some more here heading into the weekend, but so far I haven't been thrilled.
Well, it's funny because when Cody and I started the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, we did it the week 2 weeks before the Clash. And so we didn't have to wait forever for odds to drop. Well, we've been going all off season, and it just feels like we were so anxious for odds to drop that we just kept waiting and kept waiting. And kept waiting.
Yeah.
Finally, last night, we got some more, which we got super excited about, but it's still not enough. How many times, books, are we going to have to cry to get what we need out of you guys? Because this is, if this were NFL, we'd have more than we'd even know what to do with. NASCAR needs that same sort of attention and love, because there's a lot of people out there, just like me, just like Seth, just like everybody else that's betting out there right now that wants more. So, yes, I'm happy with the scraps that you've given us. But please, can I have some more?
I love it, man. Yeah, absolutely. This feels like the kid who got kicked out on Christmas. You know what I mean? We're down at the local Chinese shop just trying to get what they're throwing away. Meanwhile, NFL, like you said, there's more Super Bowl prop bets than you can think of. You want to bet on how long the halftime show.
How long do you think the anthem's going to be at the Clash, guys?
Right.
Wait,
so,
who's performing it? Who's performing at the Clash? It's for the love of God. Anyways, how long he's going to take to do his halftime or his show, his big show? I
don't even know who it is. It was Ice Cube last year.
Isn't your guy Wiz Khalifa at the Clash, or did I make that up?
Maybe you're right. If it's Wiz Khalifa, I'm hyped. I don't need another reason to watch NASCAR all weekend, boys. But if Wiz Khalifa is performing,
Wiz Khalifa during the break in the Clash. Yep.
Let's go. I'm pumped
just
up,
made
boys.
Night right there.
Yes, you did. Thank you for that, Rod. I appreciate that. Rod, let's go ahead and get to our bets, though. I have a couple in the outright market that I'm going to be placing. Is there anyone you want to spotlight that you think our audience tonight should maybe be taking a shot on based on the betting odds tonight?
Well, we kind of talked about him in the draft or pass area, and the price for Tyler Reddick right now, he's at 14-1. So it's insane to me to think that Tyler Reddick, the guy who led so many laps at this race last season, obviously had that drivetrain issue, took him out of the race.
Yes.
But if we're not for that drivetrain issue, we might have been talking about Tyler Reddick winning the Clash. And at 14-1, when the favorite on this is at 8-1, I mean, we're almost talking double the odds of the favorite for a guy that ran as well as he did. Yeah, he's in new equipment, but that does not scare me at all because I know Tyler Reddick is good enough to elevate the equipment that he's in and to at least make a good run. And if I'm going to pick an outright, I love the value at Reddick at 14-1.
And that's a funny one because when the lines opened this week on that one, Rod, I was thinking like a lot of money's going to go to that and that's going to shrink real quick. And it didn't. It didn't. So maybe that just tells you there's not a lot of people betting on NASCAR here in this preseason event, the Clash. But yeah, I like that one as well. I'm going to go with kind of a chalky one too here. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. Led 64 laps in this race last season. Tyler Reddick ran the next most with 51 in that number 8 car that Kyle Busch is going to be manning this year. Still one of the best short track drivers in the NASCAR segment here. However you want to put it. 7th at Martinsville in the spring, 1 Bristol Dirt, top 10s at Dover, Richmond, Phoenix, all the short tracks. So I love Kyle Busch this week. Plus 900 is the best number I can find on him on DraftKings. He's a little bit shorter over on Caesars and Barstool, but I'm going to be riding Kyle Busch plus 900 on DK here, guys.
Yeah, definitely love the value of that too. And we talked about that as well. Plus 900 is a good number for Kyle Busch, especially because it's not, I mean, it's among the favorites, but it's not the favorite. So you're still getting a fair deal on him.
Absolutely. Rod, is there any other outrights that you're considering this week?
You know, it's, I don't know. Other than Reddick and Busch, Logano's at 8-1, but again, it's not the first running of this race, so I don't see him coming in and doing well. But yeah, other than those two, I don't know, maybe Chastain can sneak one in at 15-1, but that's, that's hoping.
So I'm going to throw this one out there for you guys. This is a long shotter. So a moonshot, as our guy Mark in Mississippi calls it. Elliot, I want to get your first reaction to it. Noah Gragson is 80-1 on Barstool right now, 75 on Caesars or DK if you play over there. In his Martinsville career in Xfinity, average starting position of 5.4 across 5 starts, 4 top 5 finishes, over 230 laps led. So he's been an ace over there. He's been the highest rated Xfinity driver since 2020, aside from Ty Gibbs in that series on Martinsville. That's the closest track that I can comp this to. And I know he's going to be a new guy coming in here, but think about how good Ty Dillon also ran in that car last year. Like Ty Dillon was giving me goosebumps last year, how good he was running. I had him in a couple lineups. So he ended up spinning out in one of those qualifying races as Ty Gibbs does. But Elliot, you remember we talked about it, how good Ty Gibbs was. So I think that can translate to Noah Gragson here for legacy right off the rip, 80-1. Like, I'm not putting a full unit down. Like, I'm going to be honest, guys. This isn't a full unit bet. There's a quarter unit at that bet. That's probably what I'm taking. Elliot, initial thoughts here, 80-1, our guy Noah Gragson.
So I've got similar thoughts for both Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs. I think they're both talented. They're both good on short tracks. They're both Cup rookies who are going to look at this race and say, yeah, this race is important to get used to the next-gen car, to get going, but they've run Cup races. They both ran a lot of Cup races last year. Both these guys are going to look at these races as fun, as a chance to win, as a chance to put themselves on the map, and they're going to wipe out doing it. I think that they're going to excite us in some of these qualifying races. They're going to excite us and run well. They're going to say, oh, look at the Gragson. He's up there. He's leading the qualifying heat, and he crashes. I think they're going to be fun to watch. I don't think they're going to be quite as good in the Clash. Daytona 500, let's see those odds. Ring me up with those. The Clash, I think that they're going to be excited. They're going to put themselves on the map, and it's going to be backwards against the wall. Mike Joy saying, around goes Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson.
I will be bummed, but I get it here. Rod, these are probably a little too long for you to jump on as well. I know you're kind of fading rookies here. # fade rookies early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. If I'm gonna do a really deep dive, I'm gonna go Haley at 66-1. So that I like that better. Yeah, that offers more upside to me than a Gragson or a Gibbs. So yeah, definitely. If I'm dipping down low at 66-1, Haley's where I'm dipping.
Okay. Rod, I want to talk about some of the other markets out here as well. There is the top 3 market on Barstool. I didn't find anything too intriguing that I wanted to recommend out there. There's some of these weird specials. You can bet some of like the even odd numbers, different things like that. There's also some head-to-heads out there right now. In the limited sample size from what the books have put out, is there anything else that you're jumping on and you recommend our viewers jump on as well?
Well, I like this Kyle Busch over Joey Logano take. I mean, you're talking about Kyle Busch to win this thing. I think this is a year that he'll finish over Joey Logano. It's juiced the same either way at -114 over there on Barstool. So, I mean, the books don't even know what to make of this head-to-head. I think they just kind of tossed it out there because it was the top 2 cars from last season, and they figured, well, we'll just put them together and make them in a head-to-head. But I think Kyle Busch has the advantage this season over Joey Logano. Joey Logano, obviously the returning champion. They don't have anything to prove now this season. They don't want to go out, and I don't think they want to go out and necessarily put the same sort of effort they did into it last season. Obviously, nobody goes out there to lose, but there are different varying levels of commitment when it comes to how tore up you want to make your car. And I think this Logano team already proved what they needed to prove. And so this is not necessarily a race that they've got to go out and try to prove anything.
I like that one. Elliot, any thoughts there? Obviously, there's a reason that one's kind of a 50-50 because both those guys, as we mentioned, they are our tier 1, our GOAT drivers.
Right. I mean, I'm high on Rowdy, so I got to stick Rowdy, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. I will round out my bets for the night with Harvick -125 over Truex. I wish I was getting a little better odds on these, but like I'm fading Truex this season. #fade Truex. He finished more races than any other Joe Gibbs car, still couldn't get in victory lane. And this was a race last season. Everyone's talking up Truex heading into the 2022 Clash. Oh, he's great at Martinsville. And that's what we were going off of last year coming into this race. He was a non-factor. He was a non-factor in the Busch Light Clash in 2022. Old Snoop Dogg couldn't find him. He's out there with the binoculars, couldn't find Truex. So I think, honestly, I'm going to be fading Truex. Harvick, 10th in this race last season, 2nd in that first heat he ran as well, though. So he got out of the gate early. I think we're going to see it again from Harvick. 8th average starting position at Martinsville compared to Truex, which is back in 10.8 over the last 2.5 years. So I think Harvick is better on Martinsville as of late as well. And I don't like to ride narrative too much, guys, but SHR, like, they're going to push Harvick this year. They're going to, like, he is the top of the totem pole still, SHR, for one more year. Truex, like, let's be honest, he's the lowest on that totem pole. Denny Hamlin is going to get more credit, more funding. Chris Bell, same thing with their top 5 finishes. And then Ty Gibbs coming in as well. Like, Truex is just barely hanging on at this point. So I'm going to fade him early on a track that he didn't do good. And I'm going to ride our guy Harvick one more time here. It is the Busch Light Clash. So, Busch Light driver. Let's go, baby.
So I'm the only guy who's on the Truex horse this year, huh? We'll see how that goes. I'll take the lonely ride on the steed, and we'll revisit this in 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll see how that goes. Hey, guys, we did it. We made it through. This is our first show of the season, and we've made it to the end. Seth, I meant to cut you off there. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We got a couple. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson, 8-1 co-favorite. Maybe still new to this, so could be wrong. No, you're 100% right, Didi. Those are the correct odds there. So I absolutely love everything we've said. Rod, any final thoughts here on the race? Any other bets that we haven't touched on that you think we should be aware of?
I mean, unless you really want to bet on like even odd, that's really the only other fun kind of thing, or at least the manufacturer. They do have top Fords, top Chevys, top Toyotas. That's a fun little market. But if you want to hear more, obviously you know where to go, because I'll be talking about that and more on the show coming up this episode. So yeah, I mean, other than what we talked about for the purposes of this show, yeah, I think we gave them plenty to work with on this. Although I will say, Seth, Cypress Hill going to be part of the entertainment process of the Busch Clash too. So jump around, kids.
Stoner's Paradise, baby. Let's go. Wiz Khalifa, hits from the bone. Let's go.
It is LA, by the way. It is LA.
Let's go, man. That's good to hear, man. I love some Cypress Hill. I probably only named about 3 songs of theirs, but banger songs. The last thing I kind of want to say on this, guys, is just stay vigilant out there. Like, there are probably going to be some top 5s, maybe some top 10 markets that get released over the weekend. There were last season. So just be paying attention. I'll have my article out tomorrow with some more bets, and I'm sure we'll have some more tweets coming out from the account from each of our personals as well. So just stay plugged in with us here at IBT Media. You can subscribe to the channel, check out the Backroad, our fantasy football, and our DFS golf content as well. Elliot, anything you want to talk about as we close out here, man?
Hey, I'm just happy we're back into it. I'm excited for this clash. And like you guys said, we are full speed ahead at IBT this season. It's going to be fun. Thanks for taking a ride down the back road with us, and we'll see you next time.
State.